Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing another game review. The game is Academia School Simulator. This game has some very familiar characteristics as games such as Prison Architect, even that of RimWorld, very similar in a lot of ways. The game is very positive. It has been for a very long time, in all honesty. I'm not sure why they're still giving keys out for such old games, but either way, I'm still going to cover it. It's by Squeaky Wheel Studio Inc. And have they done anything else? Yes, it looks like they have done some other really popular games, actually. Ruin Arc, actually, specifically, is a very good game. The description states, design, build and manage a high school with terrific teachers and fantastic facilities. Or simply let your students poop in the bushes. Academia School Simulator is a management/tycoon game where you get to decide. Let's jump right into the gameplay. Okay, and we're in the game. In almost all instances, this game is Prison Architect for schools. You'll find similarities everywhere on this. I played the game for pretty much a good 50 minutes, I think, in total. This video actually that you're watching now is about 50 minutes long, but I'm going to chop some bits out of this. I'd like to cover what I thought of the game so far. I thought it's a little bit slow-paced, even with the ability to speed up. I couldn't seem to get the students to get into the classroom, and the tutorial didn't cover any of that. I had some students come in, some of them would go and sit in the classrooms, some of them would just say, no, we're not assigned anywhere, and there was nowhere I could figure out how to fix that. So eventually I just came to a standstill. You won't see that with this video, because I'm going to speed up the footage in the background so you can see all that. What I'm going to do is do a breakdown of what I thought about the game. It's not bad, it's quite fun. It's just when you get stuck on certain areas that, for a game that's been out since 2017, I really would have expected the tutorial to be a little bit of a better quality. You do little assignments, just like you do in Prison Architect, to get funding. They're relatively self-explanatory, but even I think that could have dealt with a little bit of work. Let's get into the normal breakdown. I'm just going to bring up my page here, 1 second. Okay. So, first of all, we're going to go through the normal 3 categories, gameplay, visuals, and enjoyment. I'd say that the gameplay is relatively simple, but with those broken areas, makes it just a little bit frustrating to play and figure out things. I was, as I said, 50 minutes, I wasn't able to figure out how to actually get students to go into the right classrooms, and I did click on quite a few of the buttons, so that's probably me, but I marked this down as a 4 out of 10. The game isn't really anything special, but it's not bad either. The visuals, it's a very simplistic, very light-coloured, light-textured game, so visuals, I gave this a 6 out of 10, it's very simple, no problems there. The enjoyment side of things, I also provided this with a 6 out of 10, purely because of the issue with the gameplay. My enjoyment was diminished a little bit, but when it was working, it was absolutely fine. So 6 out of 10 for the enjoyment side of things. Now we'll go down into a further breakdown here. I'm thinking about changing my breakdowns a little bit to add a few more categories, but I'm not sure on that yet. If you guys have any suggestions about what other things I could cover in this next bit with the further breakdown, I'd really appreciate that if you've got any advice. But let's get into it. So the gameplay gets broken down further into the 9 categories we're about to go through, which is the mechanics. I put that the mechanics were simple and easy to use because the actual playing of the game was simple enough. I wouldn't say there was any problems in there. The repetitiveness, I would say, it's very repetitive due to the nature of the game, but it's not a bad thing. You are playing a sim, you build a lot of walls, you build a lot of floors, so repetitive is its nature, but that's not a bad thing in this circumstance. Is it interactive? Yeah, pretty much. It is very interactive because you've got to pick where everything goes, you've got to decide what it looks like. So yeah, it's a very interactive game. The level design, I've simply just put here simple drawn levels. There's nothing special to the level design. It's a big square with a few textures and a few trees. Nothing special there. The controls that I put were down as good and easy. They were very easy to understand. You know, you click a few buttons, you figure out what needs to go in a room. No problem with the controls. The game handles nicely in that perspective. So good and easy I put for that. Progression, well, progression is entirely part of a city builder or a tycoon manager, because everything you do will progress what you're doing in game further. So like you could build a wall somewhere different and that would change how that room looks. So it's all progression based in this kind of game. The menu, I would say the menu was very simple. There's not any textures, there's not any colours, there's no interactiveness to the menu. Very simple, nothing special, works as intended. And I said the same thing for the UI. The UI is no different than the menu. It's a very simple menu. It's a very simple UI with nothing special really. And that's not a bad thing either way. It works as exactly as intended, which is perfectly fine. The performance, again, perfect. You can't see it on this screen, but I'm getting 60 frames per second again, so no issues performance-wise. Now I'm going to break it down onto the next category, which is aesthetics and immersion. I would say for graphics, I put nice hand-drawn art style. It's a very simple looking game. I would say that it probably didn't take too long drawing these things because they're very simple. For the graphics, I put a nice hand-drawn art style, which by no means necessarily is a bad thing. It's quite nice looking, it suits the style perfectly, and that's all I had to say for that. The cinematics were really not very engaging at all. There were some cinematics when you click start, and that's about it. And they're very, very simple. There's nothing to them really. The environment animation and the character animation I've put as very basic. I've put the word bland in there, but I don't mean that as an insult. There's nothing special with the animations. They're sprited characters. They're not 3D models. There's nothing special there. But that, again, is not a bad thing. The colour palette, I put that down as simple texturing with colours. That's exactly what it is in gaming. There's nothing in this that would... Colour palette I put down as simple texturing and colours. There's nothing more to say about that side of things. It's totally fine as it is. It works as its intended purpose. That's pretty much all I've got to say about this. I think the game overall is actually fine, totally fine. I didn't find any bugs, any problems with this while playing with it. The only problem I had was the tutorial wasn't super great. But I think if you played it for long enough, you would figure out what all the buttons did, you'd figure out how to assign the students. I maybe need to play it for a little bit longer, but after a good hour's worth of gameplay, I still wasn't able to figure the students out. For me, that took away a lot from the game, and that's probably why some of the scores are a little bit lower. But I would say if you played this long enough, you'd probably figure this out very easily. I'll leave a link to the game in the description of the video as normal. If you have any comments about this, as I said before, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you played the game, tell me how you got on with it. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed this, think about leaving a like and subscribing for me. Other than that, everybody have a great day, look after yourselves, and see you next time.